Okay, we're live. Welcome, everybody.
Rock and roll!
Yeah! My name is John Graves. I'm the Director of Operations here at ArtistWorks in Napa, California. I want to welcome you all to this month's ArtistWorks Google Hangout. In this Hangout, we're going to be rocking with Mr. Paul Gilbert, our online rock guitar teacher here at ArtistWorks. We will be giving out a promo code later in the show that will get all of you who are watching 20% off of a one-year membership to any ArtistWorks school. And one of you viewers is going to be chosen at random to win a free year studying rock guitar online with Paul at ArtistWorks. So let's introduce our guests. So our first guest today, been teaching rock guitar online at ArtistWorks since May 2012. He's filmed over 3,000 video exchanges with students in over 50 countries. You know from Racer X, Mr. Big, his incredible solo career during which he's been named one of the best guitar players and shredders of all time, many times. He's with us today, Mr. Paul Gilbert. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, John. It's wonderful to be here, and I'm going to throw it back to you because I know you got more to say.
I do. So, well, where are you joining us from today?
I'm at my studio in Portland, Oregon. I just moved here a couple months ago, and this checkerboard stuff you see behind me is just acoustic panels, making the room sound good.
Great. All right. And our next guest was Paul Gilbert's partner in crime in the band Racer X. He was also a founding member of the bands The Scream and Epidemic, an incredible guitar player. Very grateful to have him joining us today, Mr. Bruce Bouillet.
Hello, coming from North Hollywood here.
North Hollywood. Okay, so we're all West Coasters so far. Okay, we're all on the West Coast. All right, going down the list. A couple more guests to announce. Our next guest is a student of Paul's online at ArtistWorks and has been since May of 2012, right when we opened. Kyle Kendrick, welcome.
Hello, it's an honor to be here.
And where are you joining us from?
Hagerstown, Maryland.
Okay, excellent, Maryland. And you've been studying with Paul since May of 2012. That was right when he opened, right? You said you were on the waiting list before it even opened up?
Oh yeah, I was on a waiting list for 6 months. I couldn't wait.
Excellent. Okay, well, we'll hear more about your experience there later. And then lastly, our last guest is another student of Paul's who's been studying with him since 2014 online at ArtistWorks. Ryan Durham, welcome.
Hey, great to be here. Very stoked.
Thank you guys for being with us, all of you. And before we get started with some of these questions, I just want to say that take a quick moment to thank the folks over at Ibanez Guitars. They sponsored today's event, and they've been so great to work with and a big help putting on today's production. Many viewers who are watching today may not have been heard about this without them helping us get the word out, so we're very grateful to them. Lots of guitar discussion to be had. I think first, though, I'll give you all a little what you came to see here. I think I'm going to ask Paul to start us off with a little tune or maybe some shredding or something if he's feeling ready for that.
All right. Well, I'm going to start you off with an important piece of guitar equipment, and that is your slipper. And at my school, I always make everybody stomp on the ground in order to keep time. Having good time makes you have a good time. So I'm going to just pick a groove and play something in A. I don't know what it's going to be, but we'll find out. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4. Rock and roll!
Yeah. That was excellent. It's never too early in the day to get that drill out, right?
It's a new model actually. It's a little smaller than the other one, a little more lightweight, and I've got 4 picks on the end now instead of 3.
Instead of 3.
It's one faster.
Nice. Well, hey Bruce, I know that may be tough to follow, but I see you got a guitar in your hand, so maybe you can make some noise for us as well.
Absolutely. Well, being the guest bro today, and I'm going to do some guest bro shred for you here in D. How's that sound?
Nice. Very nice.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, we're definitely off to a good start on that note. So let me some of my questions here. Just a quick note to the viewers. We're going to be taking some of your questions from the comment area on the right side of the YouTube page. So if you have any questions, go ahead and shoot them in, and I'll do my best to get to some of them. I obviously can't get to all of them, but got a few of my own here. So let's just get started with something real general before we get into some real specific stuff. Question to Paul, Bruce, what are some memorable lessons you guys have learned just becoming guitarists and musicians?
Oh my goodness. So the memorable lessons we've learned?
Yes.
I can't remember. Actually, I remember my uncle played guitar, 10 years before I ever tried one, and he saw me, making some attempts at guitar, and he told me to put my hand on the bridge, and that was an amazing help. Suddenly I could do that muting, like, get that chug 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 chug, that kind of, and it gave it a real electric, chunky, rock heavy tone. Where before I didn't know how to place my hand on the guitar, and actually from teaching I've been surprised how many people, whether they realize it or not, struggle with how to hold the guitar. And a lot of it has to do with furniture. You got to have the right furniture, because the couches are horrible, and any chair that has arms on it will mess you up. And so I've got a drum stool here, like, round drum stool. Those are great, because you put your guitar anywhere, it doesn't run into anything. So my uncle told me to put my hand on the bridge, and then my much later discovery of having the right furniture. Those are 2 important things. How about you, Bruce? What have you learned?
Whew, that's a good one. I would say, probably first and foremost, don't be afraid to take some chances. And that started back with actually moving to LA. And, I was excited about guitar, and that's where I wanted to go where guitar was. And so I took the risk and took the chance and went out to LA, and obviously met yourself and met you and a bunch of other people. But I would say if it was a direct guitar question, probably one of the best lessons I had was just taking a good look of how the basics were played out, as far as, like, am I alternate picking exactly, or is my picking confused and doing maybe an economy one way or an alternate another, or it really taking a look at the basics and just getting the very beginning right was probably one of the biggest lessons for me.
Excellent.
Did you learn that from the beginning, or did that, you said you...
About the time I met you.
So you'd already been playing for like 8 years or something then, right, or even longer.
I'd played for a while, and I think the first thing you said was, you pick economy one direction and alternate the other, and I was like, oh, no. That was scary news for me, and I immediately switched over to alternate picking at that point. But yeah, I think for anybody, especially just reviewing the very basics is very important, just to make sure that it can really help. So I've seen a lot of people where they were stuck. They couldn't get any faster, or they couldn't get certain elements or licks to actually execute them right, and a lot of it stemmed from just the early on the technique that they had developed up to that point.
Yeah, I finally figured out how to play a G chord right. Literally for like how long have I been playing? I've been playing almost 40 years now, and it's because I was teaching at the school. I would see everybody else play G chords and go, man, I'm the weird one. I play this crazy G chord where it can't happen because I played a G7 when I was a kid. Where you have that F note on the top, and it ends up putting your third finger there. And so when I played a regular G, I just moved my pinky over to bar those. That was my G chord. Nobody does it like that. Nobody. Everybody does the 2-finger thing and does it like that. And that felt so strange to me. And finally, because I'm a teacher, I've got to be able to do things like normal people do. I finally had to learn a correct G chord, in my golden years here. There's some good things about it. I'm happy to finally learn the right kind of G chord.
Well, it is a handy chord. We'll have to put it out there as that. It's I know it's showed up in at least one song I know.
I love that AC/DC song. Was it? Such good stuff.
And the proper G chord is important in that song.
Oh man, you without the proper G, you're stuck with AC/DC.
And that's nice percussion going over there, Paul. That's more to your point of how important it is to have that stomp going. That made the performance there.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, every musician is from a certain generation. You're born and you grow up, and there's certain music that's around, and I can't help but whether it's an objective thing and the stuff I grew up with it was genuinely good, or it's just nostalgia. I don't know, but a lot of the more modern guitar players, their guitars are up high and their motions are small, and it just doesn't, like, the basic driving elements of rock are getting like smaller and smaller, and I don't want that. So at my school, I try to get people to do big, arm in the air and stomp it away.
It needs to have the Malcolm seal of approval.
Absolutely. I mean, it's got to have the Malcolm Young seal of approval.
Well, hey, Paul. So speaking of AC/DC, did you, you were talking about when you started, when you were younger. Did you ever learn cover songs, or even still, do you ever learn cover songs or other solos for ideas or inspiration?
That was my guitar teacher, basically, and I did take lessons from actual people to learn a couple scale shapes and that kind of thing. But my teachers were my records.
Right.
And still to this day, although it's funny now, instead of learning the guitar parts now I learn the vocal lines. Mm. So when I was a kid, I would learn like 1 and 2 and 3. And now I learn. I should have learned the Bon Scott. Do. and it's, you know, I end up doing my guitar licks, but that's why it's cool to learn a vocal line, because it gets you out of your guitar comfort zone. And I did a whole album like that, actually. It's called Stone Pushing Uphill Man, where I was playing Steven Tyler guitar line or vocal lines on my guitar and trying to play, you know, Little Richard vocal lines on my guitar. And that's the most challenging one, which I have yet to get, is when David Lee Roth, you know, he's doing the, and he goes, "God damn it, baby, I lined it. I'm gonna tell you one time." And that's to go like, "God damn it, baby, I lined it." And, you know, it's just one note, you know. But to get to, you know, if you just go like, you know, it sounds like Morse code. It's not right.
Yeah.
So somehow David Lee Roth was able to, you know, get that other juice in there, and that other juice is what makes it cool. So, you know, it's with bending and sliding, and, you know, that's the mountain peak I've yet to. You know, that's the Everest, that David Lee Roth line there. But I'm climbing up. I'm in the foothills.
Nice. Yeah, I've had Crossroads recommended to me numerous times. Like, if you want to start getting comfortable with lead and different shapes of playing lead, that Crossroads soloing is a good one to learn.
Yeah, that's too long though. You got to start with short things. So I'd recommend like Dream On, where you go in the with 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. You know, they're just like, you know,
nice.
Goes long, and they're all pentatonic with cool bends, and a lot of times the memorization, like if you've got a solo that's 3 minutes long, so there's so much memorization that it can distract you from the important things, which is just to get the nuances and get the bends right, and that's stuff that it's nice to have just a little compact melody to work on, where you're not distracted by all this memorization, and you can just, you know, get the bending together and get those nuances, because the guitar has so much expressive potential, but it really takes a lot of just physical control to be able to, you know, get your bending together and get the slides, you know.
Nice. Hey, Paul, just real quick, can I have you, I think, maybe scoot over just a foot to your right, or maybe lift your guitar up, because some of the faces are blocking your fretboard there, and we want to see what you're playing.
Like that?
I think that's better. Yeah, maybe there you go. So hey, and then Bruce, same question to you. You know, any licks or solos that you learned or still are kind of going after to kind of give you lick ideas or inspiration?
There's been a few. When I grew up, a lot of my background was a lot of blues. I grew up in the Midwest, so I had some Chicago players, blues players in my hometown that were a little bit older than me. And, they got me into a lot of the early blues stuff, even though some of it we pushed it over to Gary Moore and some other players like that, which I still consider very bluesy. And then it morphed over to the bands of its time, which would have been, you know, when I was first starting to play guitar, Aerosmith, Kiss, those kind of bands, which were still fairly bluesy bands. So I definitely, I don't know if you're getting this in the picture, I'll get my neck up there a little bit too. You know, obviously everybody starts out with a, if you're in a pentatonic scale. So a lot of my stuff just started out having good bends. And really, it was a whole bunch of that and some country, believe it or not, which I ended up using on the Racer X live album. I did a unaccompanied guitar solo that would end with the whole band playing blues. So the one thing I learned from all the country guys was the Mixolydian, or just the Mixolydian or dominant arpeggio. And that funny enough, that transcended into the blues song too. So a little bit of it came from a country background, and then I just pushed it into the metal as quick as I could.
Nice. Very cool. That's interesting. And I'm getting flooded with some really incredible questions from the viewers right now. So I got to, just to make time for these, I got to just cut to a couple of them. And this is a great question. Not sure who it came from, but so how do you approach songwriting post-riff? Meaning after you have a killer riff, where do you go from there? How do you follow that up? What's the next step?
You call up your singer and you say, finish this. Lately, when I write, I usually write things simultaneously, and a lot of times it's vocal based. So the first tune on my new record that's coming out, you know, I was driving and I had this idea to call a song "Everybody Use Your Goddamn Turn Signal," and I just started playing with the rhythm of the words. You know, everybody use your goddamn turn signal, and so that inspired, you know, everybody use your, and that became the riff. You know, everybody use your goddamn turn signal. So that ba-ba-da-ba-da-out, everybody use. It's real. You know, the vocal line is really similar to the guitar line, and it's a lot easier, I think, to actually write when you start with the vocal and build everything to support that rather than the other way around. It's certainly, you know, there's no rule. I mean, I'm sure there's a million Led Zeppelin songs that began with a guitar line, but then you've got to have Robert Plant in your band, you know, somebody who's got an amazing high range and rock voice to make it work.
Right. Bruce?
Well, if you've got the riff, you could go a couple routes. Maybe go the route of like Bowie and Fame and just keep one riff throughout the whole song, and that eliminates everything else. Or I think Fame is one riff all the way through. Or sometimes when you know, I've got a riff and I'm looking toward. I try to find something that's a little bit different or a little bit unique, even if it was something, some different kind of chords maybe that you're not really used to using. One of the big ones I used on the last album I've done was just taking dominant 7 chords and placing them in various positions next to your key. So if I was in A, I may use an A flat 7. Now that may sound shocking. To take a chapter from Pink Floyd right there, but and I would do that with 7 chords in various positions, like maybe A minor to B7, A minor to F7. And just to see if I could find something that was a little unique or a little different for myself.
Right.
Taking it out of the key, maybe. It's a tough one with writing. It's a good question.
Yeah. All right. Well, a quick announcement to our viewers then. Keep the questions coming. I got one more viewer question I'm going to read now before I finish with my list. For that, just want to give you guys a quick promo code. ROCK20. 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 That will get you guys 20% off a year at Paul's school or any school. And I'll remind you guys that throughout the show here. Like it's 20% off a year at any ArtistWorks school. And I'm also going to be announcing the winner of a free 1-year membership at Paul's school. So one more, real quick. I'm asking this one because it relates to my next question, and there's actually a few people asking about this. So let's see. Can you demonstrate how you practice sweep picking to eventually get fast and accurate? That comes from Steve Davis.
Bruce, do you know how to sweep pick?
To be honest, really, if I was going to say something on sweep picking, I've actually sort of phased it out of my own playing a little bit in order to do string skipping, just because I could rhythmically control it easier. I used to sweep pick a lot back in the '80s, and I mean, it was very difficult for me to get it in that in-between tempo where it needed to be rhythmic. It was either really fast or really slow. But that middle tempo was difficult for me, so I would switch to a. I know it's a different sound. Other than that, angle your pick and get a metronome, I would assume. Paul?
Yeah, I've kind of phased it out too, and I've got the one reliable. I think it's the same one you did. But I've got some things that have a similar character to them, and again, the sweep picking is a technique, but the notes that are usually used are arpeggio notes. We're using wide intervals, and for example, a minor or a major triad. And so let's take a D major triad, and just instead of sweep picking it, we'll do one note, and then do two notes on the next string. And then do the same thing an octave lower, and another octave lower. So you have that same exact shape and same exact fingers, but you have to do some pretty big position shifts. And that's really nice for that medium tempo that Bruce is talking about. Yeah? And I can lock it right into the groove. Now, if I want to get more of that sort of ferocious out of it, I can do a pinky slide like. And it gets guitar players to go, ah, you know. And that's so that's a way to sort of combine, or it's a way to tweak a technique that to me it feels a lot more reliable to get the kind of the spirit that you might get out of sweep picking. And so that's been my solution lately. But man, I mean, there's some great sweep pickers out there. I still love listening to Yngwie do sweep picking. You know, back when, I mean, Bruce was a master of it, and as humble as he may be with it now, I bet he could probably whip out something really terrifying if you gave him a half an hour to brush up on it. And but it is. I mean, when any guitar player plays, you have an inner sense of how indestructible what you're playing is. You know, there's some stuff that you feel real confident with, and you could do it, you know, with your eyes closed. There's other stuff where it's like, you know, give me 27 takes in the studio and a good, you know, engineer who can edit the good parts together, and I'll. And I really prefer to have stuff that's as indestructible as possible, so I can use it live, and just more an enjoyable way to play when you're just relaxed and you don't have to worry too much. I like the worry-free licks.
Right. You know, you do a lot of great interviews on your ArtistWorks school, and you did one with a younger guy. I think his name was Jackie Vincent. Yeah. He's incredible at sweep picking, right?
Yeah.
What band was he from?
Oh, it's like My Bloody Katy Perry or something. I can't remember what.
Yeah, I'm having trouble remembering too, but yeah, he was doing some pretty incredible sweep picking stuff. Well, anyway, so thanks to Steve Davis for that question, because it goes right into kind of, I have a kind of a broader version of that question. So you, Paul, you teach online at ArtistWorks. Bruce, I know you do some teaching. If a student wants to learn something that's way beyond their skill level, how do you go about breaking that down and showing them, breaking it down to something that they can kind of approach?
Let's see. Well, first of all, when I teach a student, you know, I want to make them happy. I want to give them something that they're excited about, and it's hard if the thing that they're excited about is really kind of out of their reach at the moment. And so I'll kind of give them two things. I'll give them a little tidbit of what they want, but I'll try to make them do something that I think they actually need as well. And I'll tell them that. I'll say, like, you know, here's, you asked for this thing, I'll give it to you, here's, you know, good luck. But I said, if you really want to get this down so it's working, here's the kind of the core technique that you're going to need to build on. And then I let them run with it. And the nice thing about ArtistWorks is it's not like just one lesson and that's it. You know, we get to communicate over you know, is however long they're signed up. It can be a month, it can be years. So it gives you a chance to really get to know the player, get to know the person, and, you know, over that time, you know, the conversation can go back and forth, and we can tweak it until they get it right.
Right. Well, we have a couple of your students here. Hey, K-Dog, maybe I'll start with you. Have you crossed this bridge yet with Paul? Have you come to him with anything that was maybe a little out of your league that you wanted to learn?
Oh, man, I mean, my first, no, I remember I sent in a VE, hey, Paul, give me something with an arpeggio and some fast picking. And well, he gave it to me, like he said, here, you know, good luck. And, you know, I'm still practicing that first VE, and you know, it's still to get it nice and clean the way he wants it. I met him at a Guitar Escape, and I played that same VE, that same lick for him. And he'll tell you, he's like, yeah, it's just not quite there yet, K-Dog. If it's not there, he'll tell you it's not there. You know, work on this. Hey, man, work on this first. Get this clean, and don't worry about, you know, like Paul said about, you know, playing these licks that the stars and the moon have to all align together to get right. Just have fun. Do a nice bend with some nice vibrato, and, you know, and then love the guitar, love what you're playing. And that's one thing Paul does. He brings you, he gets you to love the guitar at your skill level, and then you can take it from there. One of the most important things he's ever told me, and this wasn't even in a VE. This was in the forum, because you can write to Paul in the forum, and Paul he'll respond right away. I mean, the guy puts in so much to his site, not just with VEs, but that forum is also the key. The forum, and you know, he gives you sound super advice in the forum as well. It's just.
And what was it that he told you that stuck with you? And what was it that he told you in the forum that stuck with you?
Oh, just about, you know, just trying to, I mean, I remember I had one situation with, I was in a band situation, and the guy, you know, I wasn't getting along too good with the other bandmate. And Paul used the grizzly bear theory. You know, hey, if you got a grizzly bear near you, you can either run from the grizzly bear, or you can, you know, take the grizzly bear head on. But I'll never forget the grizzly bear theory. You know, that one. Hey man, you know how I handle grizzly bears. I run up a tree from a grizzly bear. That's what I do. Yeah. It's just.
That's great.
It's been a great 4 years. It really has.
Nice.
Hey, so I should mention real quick.
Go ahead.
We've been talking about VEs. For anybody who hasn't been in the school,
right?
VE is short for video exchange, which is the sort of the thing that the way we communicate at the school. It's you know, it's not live like we are now, because when you make a video in advance, first of all, it gives you a little more time to sort of settle down and think about what you're doing and put on the performance that you're happy with. And second of all, you don't have to deal with any, you know, internet issues if the quality tends to be really awesome. And you know, I found that the video exchange as a method of communication, a method of teaching, is just fantastic. Plus, it gets saved on the site, and so there's an archive of, like you said at the beginning, nearly 4,000 video exchanges that I've done with individual students.
Right.
But are archived at the school, and you can there's a search feature, so if you're interested in picking, you know, you can type in picking, and the 782 picking videos will come up, and then if you want, you know, the sweep picking, then the 87 of those will come up. If you want alternate picking, the 300 of those will come up. So they're organized, you know, so you can look at the archives. But of course, if you're on this school, you can do, you know, a video exchange with me, and that's we call them VEs because it's such a common thing. It's we shorten it, and that's what we're talking about. That's what a VE is.
Right. Yeah. So at any point when you're working your way through the curriculum, you can upload a video to Paul of you working on whatever riff or scale or technique or song you're working on. He'll watch it, take notes, and then give you some video feedback with some response and critiques and compliments and where he wants to see you go next. And then those two videos are paired together, and anyone studying online with Paul can watch that. So incredibly helpful.
The curriculum is a an extensive video course that I recorded.
Yeah.
And it covers a lot of ground, but every musician is they're human beings, they're individual people. So I love to have the video exchange because as much as the course can stand on its own, everybody's got their own interests and own challenges, and so it helps me so much to be able to help somebody else, to see them play, listen to them play. I never would have known that furniture was such a big issue without doing video exchanges and seeing people struggling, their couches hitting the guitar, and now I know that can't play on a couch.
Yeah, that's great. Well, hey, let me take just a couple more student questions. Let's see here. Have you ever experienced muscle cramps or any injuries while touring or even just practicing? Any suggestions on warming up before playing? That comes from Walter Mark Fernandez. Thank you, Walter.
Well, I've been hogging the video. Bruce, and I know you had some hand stuff going on.
Yeah, I've definitely got some info for you here on this one. I back in the '80s, I had my hand actually develop carpal tunnel and a bit of tendonitis also, and I think some of the things to really watch for is don't stretch too far if you're trying to play something. This or those notes can be played up closer to each other instead of stretching. Now it does cut out some of the licks, but don't unnaturally stretch too far if it starts to hurt. If something hurts, stop. And if it warm up is great, and if you do happen to start to have problems, I found a natural solution to my stuff, to the carpal tunnel and the tendonitis, and that was pressure point. There was no operating to be done or anything. It was all just pressure points on the arms and muscles, and it was called myrotherapy. So my advice would be just be very careful and warm up a lot, and if something feels uncomfortable and hurts, either avoid it or don't do it so much.
Cool. Very helpful.
Lay another question on us.
What's that?
Lay another question on us.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So this is from, I think it looks like he's named FCA Jet Ramon. So from FCA Jet Ramon, it says, I love this question. So how do you develop your ear? Any advice on ear training to be able to learn songs by ear or create melodies for guitar solos?
Oh, that is a good question. Well, in a way, there's a couple different ways to develop your ear. One is, of course, the harmonic side of it, the notes. But the other way is the rhythm. And I think that rhythm is such an important thing, and it's it's hard to a rhythm is a hard thing to see, because on the neck you can see an A note. You can look and go, okay, there's an A, and there's an A, and there's an A, and you can visually kind of get away with finding those notes. But how do you find how do you find a beat? How do you describe it? How do you communicate it? And when I went to school to GAT, they gave us a simple language of rhythm. They say, if you count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you can use those ands as a communication device. You can say the song starts on the and of 3, like 1 and 2 and 3 and. That's where it begins. And actually, a lot of great songs do start on the and of 3. Highway to Hell is one of them. 1 and 2 and 3. And it starts right on the and of 3. Or Beethoven's Fifth, the 1 and 2 and 3, dun 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 dun. 1 and 2 and 3, dun 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 dun. It's or the Racer X song we did. Actually, we didn't write it, but it's by Judas Priest. But Heart of a Lion starts on 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. And I remember quitting my first band when I was a kid because I couldn't explain to the drummer the drum fill in DOA by Van Halen. And if I only would have known that language, it starts on the and of 1. It's 1 and 2, dum dum, and I couldn't get that across. So it ended up exploding the band because I couldn't explain the drum fill. So the rhythmic language, I think, is important. And then when it comes to the harmony, start simple, single notes, and I would start with stuff that you already know, that's already in your head. Something as simple as "Happy Birthday." If you try to find what is the root of that. What would the bass player play, and how does that relate to the notes you're playing, and you start to get a language of intervals. Knowing what a major third is, what a perfect fifth is. So there's a little bit of theory memorization, but actually in the forum that Kyle was talking about, I do a lot of that. Occasionally a student will write in and ask something about that, and I kind of use the Socratic method sometimes, where I ask questions to them to make sure they understand, instead of just firing back with a big long textbook on theory. I'll say, do you know what a major third is? And okay, if you do, name a song that has it, and what note or what word does the singer sing when that happens? And I don't move on until I make sure they've got it, make sure they're hearing it, and we just build on it slowly. And there's actually a free theory course on the school as well. But I really am glad I have the opportunity to work with individuals, because that way I can make sure they've got it. Nobody's falling through the cracks.
Yeah, I'm just looking through these so many good questions here. Hey, and I'll be honest, we can just make this one short and sweet. But I'm getting asked a lot about what's the future of Racer X. Ask them when the Racer X reunion is going to be.
Well, next week.
Breaking news? Any breaking news to drop on us right now?
You guys didn't hear? We already just did it last week. No.
They all missed it, huh?
Yeah.
It's I wish there was time to play in every band that I've ever been in simultaneously at the same but I love playing with Mr. X. Actually, I just found some multi-track, really good quality multi-track recording of some unreleased stuff, and there's no bass on it, so I've got to get John to overdub the bass. But I found one unreleased tune. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's an amazing tune. We got to get it out there one of these days, because Brady's already finished.
Nice. And I found some good footage too. So some footage from Vernon. That's terrifying in the rehearsal room. So that's been a new discovery. So, but yeah, I agree with you on that. It's real hard for people to understand how many different schedules there are in a band with 5 people, and how much life there is in a band with 5 people, later on in life. So I'd have to say the same thing. It's always fun playing with Paul and the rest of the guys in the band. It's joy, but to actually to get the logistics of everybody's schedule when some of your other members are playing in bands like Judas Priest and at the moment it used to be Mars Volta with one, and Jeff, I know, is constantly busy playing with multitudes of bands, drums or vocals.
Right.
And Paul, so maybe one day, who knows?
Okay, well, let's not spend too much time on it. We can let them be surprised when the announcement comes out. So, hey, I see that Ryan is back with us. And Ryan, I had a question for you earlier, but it looked like you cut out. So maybe I can just shoot you a more general question. Just ask you, how's it been? How's your experience been online, learning, interacting with Paul through video exchanges, which we were explaining earlier? We were talking about maybe getting ahead of ourselves and wanting to learn things that we're really not ready to take on. How's your experience been just interacting with Paul and just kind of learning from him?
It's been great. I remember there was a video where I think I asked him to give me a ferocious shred lick, and he came back and we ended up doing like a Bad Company riff. And I think he was probably trying to tell me, hey, you're not ready for a ferocious shred lick yet. Or, as he mentioned before, you have to have a context for it, So I think out of the blue, he mentioned having a shred lick, it doesn't matter if it doesn't fit into a musical complex. So, he gave me a Bad Company thing to work on. And like he said, he gives people what they need, I think, at the time, and that's what's great about it. And this K-Dog, the forum is excellent, and we're almost getting to 4,000 VEs now. It's kind of turning into like the Smithsonian of rock and roll. You know? So it's amazing, all the breadth. And but I think I know people always think about Paul Gilbert as the shredder, but it's kind of it's kind of a small part of what he does. So many of the VEs, they're about locking into a rhythm, getting the stomp going, hitting notes hard, playing with vibrato. That in a way, it's almost like he's trying to move away from it. Not to scare anyone. If you want some scaly shred stuff, Whitley, he can give it to you. But I think there's kind of a bigger picture of musicianship and that he's trying to give people on here. So that's what's great about it. And it's always really exciting. You get an email and you see, oh, I got a response from Paul. I hope he didn't hammer me too hard on something, or I hope he's got something cool for me. It's people talk about on here. It's kind of like Christmas Day when you see you got a VE. Like, oh boy, let's see what he got to work on. And he killed me earlier this month having me play Happy Birthday for the last several weeks. But turns out I needed that because I needed to work on my pitch accuracy with my bends, and that's how. So for the first time, I think I'm actually paying attention to that. And to do that, I had to go through Happy Birthday for a few weeks. So I thank Paul for that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Hey, so of those almost 4,000 VEs, how many of those are you personally responsible for? Can you even keep track?
I think I've probably got maybe 25 or something, maybe 20. I've got a few in there.
Yeah, cool. What about you, K-Dog? How many are you responsible for?
Oh, K-Dog had a little episode with he hated his guitar playing for a little while, so he deleted all his VEs like an idiot. I don't know what I was thinking, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm my worst critic, but I hope to build up another vocabulary of VEs pretty soon because I missed those old videos. I don't know why I did that, but
yeah.
I mean, we're going to start over, Paul. We're going to start over, make a new library. The thing about ArtistWorks too is it's kind of a gateway drug. You know what I mean? Because you go from Paul's rock school, and I wanted to learn some chord melodies. You know what I mean? So I slipped over to Chuck Loeb, and then Paul recommended Keith's Blues School. So, ArtistWorks, it becomes a gateway drug.
That's great.
You did a digital Pete Townsend. You smashed your VEs.
Well, hey, did Ryan or Kyle, did either of you guys participate in the forum jam? Paul did this great forum jam where he basically made this backing track, and he told his students, hey, send me in your best 8 bars. And we compiled some of these 8-bar solos, and Paul kind of made a musical response to these 8-bar solos that came in, and we edited it all together in this awesome jam of Paul with his students from all around the world. Did you guys participate in that at all?
I know I did, and it was the highlight of my guitar playing life. That forum jam. That was the best time I ever had playing the guitar.
Yeah.
And then watching that VE with Paul and those rock faces, and I don't know how many. I think did he do it all in one take? Because he did a call and response with all of us, and it was just I don't know. It was the funnest thing I ever did, man. It was so much fun.
That was all one take, actually. I helped edit it. It was one take. Well, so anyone who's watching that wants to see that, it's on YouTube, I believe. Just type in Paul Gilbert Forum Jam or ArtistWorks Forum Jam, and it should come up. Or maybe I can have Adam put it in the comments section right now. But that one was a lot of fun. Anyhow, so we're getting kind of towards the end here. Let me just remind our viewers. I'll remind you one last time at the end. But ROCK20, ROCK20, ROCK20. They get you 20% off a year at Paul's school or any of our schools you hear us talking about. You can join in on the fun. Send Paul some videos. Hear what he has to say about your playing. He can kind of back you up and get you back to basics, or have you playing Happy Birthday for a few weeks if that's what it takes. We're looking forward to seeing you guys online. So what was my last? I have one last question here, and then we're going to do just real quick if we can get to this. Paul, this one's mostly for Paul and Bruce. What musician have you jammed with that was the most inspiring, or maybe even the most intimidating? I know you guys have had a long careers and played with so many different people. So you can just what's the short and sweet answer to that question?
Oh man, well, as I started to have a more and more successful career, I started to go on tour with some of my heroes. So we got to open up for the band Rush, and they ended up inviting us on stage every night. We're jamming back to back with Alex Lifeson, and that was amazing. I actually got to play drums with Cheap Trick one night, which was one of the most greatest experiences of my life. And my uncle Jimmy, who's just always blows my mind, because he's really similar to me, but he went more in a blues direction, and it's almost like seeing myself if I had gone in that direction and practiced really hard at a different style. And so it's like all the reward with none of the work.
That's great.
And but there's still, whether it's a live person to jam with or just going on YouTube and watching amazing musicians from the past and present, there's so much to be inspired by. And actually Keith Wyatt, the blues teacher, who was one of my teachers when I went to GIT.
He's incredible.
Yeah, whenever he was my teacher back then, when I was 17, he was really inspiring, and still now, once in a while we'll jam together for an ArtistWorks thing, and blues guys, they're always intimidating because you can't beat them with technique. You can't beat them with some crazy lick. They just play a couple notes. You're like, oh, that sounded so much better. That's the cool thing about the blues guys. I love them. I want to be one someday too.
Okay, Bruce, what about you, my friend?
Well, let me think. Who do I know that's an incredible musician that's extremely terrifying and intimidating? Let me think about that. I'll say first and foremost, just sharing the stage with Paul was always, you had to be on your best game always, because the guy is always top of the game when he's on stage. And so I say probably first and foremost, Paul's been one of the most awesome, but in the same sentence, intimidating, just because that he's one of the best. And I'd say, I've been really fortunate in the recording side to work with, every one of my heroes, from Roger Daltrey to Ronnie Dio.
Wow.
Everybody's come through the studios. But I will say those camps, like the G4 camps, can be kind of funny too, because you can find yourself on stage all of a sudden, which has happened, where you have Mike Keneally, Andy Timmons, Joe Satriani, Paul Gilbert. You have all these people lined up, and it's like, good Lord, how did I end up here? Everybody's an A-lister up here, and
that's great.
And so it's probably all of the above.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Well, hey, so I'm going to do something fun here with you guys, with all four of you. Paul's going to play some more for us. Bruce, hopefully you maybe have something up your sleeve for us too. Before we do that, we're getting kind of close to the end. I want to do something what we're going to call it the 30-second round, okay? So all of you guys get 30 seconds or less to answer this question. Paul, we'll start with you and work our way down. Tell us, what are your future goals as a musician? Go.
I want to play what I hear in my head, and I want to have whatever it is that I hear in my head be something worth playing. And I want to have a decent haircut while I do that, and my zipper up, and good lighting, and hopefully enough money to pay rent from doing that for happy people who are listening.
Very cool. All right, Bruce, tell us in 30 seconds or less, what are your future goals as a musician?
My future goals right now is I'm trying to redo my whole guitar playing from scratch. Basically, I'm trying to reinvent myself, and that may be done texturally with different sounds. It may not be necessarily a shred thing, and put out a vocal band. And while I say that, also I'm going to put this up for a quick second. This is, please come and follow me at my sites here.
Oh, there you go.
And hopefully that can be read.
Yeah, good.
And then that's about it right now. I'm really looking forward to going back in the studio and getting out on the road and playing, and just keep recording albums and having fun with it.
Very nice. All right, moving down the line, Kyle, better known as K-Dog on the Paul Gilbert Online Rock Guitar School. 30 seconds or less, what are your future goals as a musician?
Like Bruce and Paul, they have such a command of the instrument. You know what I mean? They know what they want to play. They play it to the flawless level that they know, and it's just, I want that. I want that. I want that command. before we went live here, Paul was he did this crazy blues thing with just a stomp and just some blues chords, and that's what I want. I want to be able to. And then Bruce, he did that thing in D, just find D and play something in D. Paul, find a blues something, and just sit down and make myself happy, by using what they do. It's incredible. That's what I want.
Yeah, it's almost like the guitar is an extension of their body. It's just they just do it so. Yeah, I think I share that one with you. I'm a guitar player too, and if I had to think of a future goal, I think it would be to just some guitar players just pick it up and it's so effortless. It's just like an extension of their body, and I think getting to that point is a very, very incredible goal to have. All right, Ryan. Last but not least, 30 seconds or less. What are your future goals as a musician?
Well, Paul says that Yngwie, he tries to play the guitar like he wants to kill somebody, and I want to get to that level. I want to see if that's actually possible, to play it so ferocious that maybe someone could pass away or something just by hearing my guitar. So that's what I'm going to work on.
It might be you might spontaneously combust like on Spinal Tap.
That's what I'm going for.
All right, great. Okay, thanks to everyone for your incredible answers. Viewers out there, listen closely. ROCK20, 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 20% off at a 1-year membership at the Paul Gilbert Rock Guitar School at ArtistWorks, or any of our guitar schools, or any of our other schools. Check us out. We have over 30 instruments and genres to choose from. And congratulations to, what's the equivalent of a guitar drum roll? Give me something, Paul. Drum roll, please. Jeff Moore. Jeff Moore, if you're watching, 1-year membership at the online rock guitar school at ArtistWorks. You got 1 year exchanging videos with Paul, so you guys are going to get to know each other very well very soon. Congratulations, Jeff. Now, Paul, I handed the mic over to you. How about you play something for us to close this thing out?
I brought up my double neck, so I'm going to do my heavy metal version of the Mr. Big hit, To Be With You. So I'm going to do, let's see. I'm the one who wants to be with you. Well, I get the chord wrong. Let me take it one more time. Take two.
All right.
There we go. I'm the one who wants to be with you. Deep inside, I hope you'll be with me. Waiting on a line of dreaming, just to be the next to be with you.
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
That was great. And Bruce, my friend, please close this with something awesome on that guitar. Yeah. Nice. All right. Special thank you to our guest, Paul Gilbert. You're the man. Bruce Bouillet. Sorry, K-Dog, Kyle, Ryan. You guys were awesome. I'm going to just, because we have 1 minute to kill and I just want to push this thing to the limit, let's just see if we can get one more question in. But just a reminder to anyone watching, the important thing is all of these questions and more, and this may sound like a sales pitch, but these questions and more can all be answered on Paul's site. If you want to join up, ask him anything you want to know. He'll send you a video coming right back to you. Just real quick, Paul and Bruce, what kind of amps are you guys using right now?
I'm using Marshall amps. I've got actually I'm playing through this crazy looking prototype. Check this thing out. It doesn't even have a case yet. It doesn't have a name, but it's a great amp. Yeah, Marshall. I mean, they're just the kings of rock tone. So I got to stay with something that I know works.
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Bruce.
I'm using the Kemper, and I noticed Paul has just signed in with Kemper recently, which is good. I'm a Marshall guy, but I'm also looking at a new line of amps from a builder out here named Jens Cruz, and we're going to be working on something and bringing a new model out this year.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And drills by Makita.
That was my next question, Paul. You read my mind. So here's a question. It almost sounds like it could have come from Keith Wyatt himself. It says, it comes from Donovan Ownby. It says, Paul and Bruce, if applicable, what's the most important lesson you learned from Keith Wyatt?
Oh man, I think to play with what you hear rather than what you see. It's so easy to look at scale shapes and you just sort of run your fingers up and down the scale shapes, and it's almost impossible to escape from that. But as much as you can, to try to hear it as you play it. And one way to do that is to sing it. So if you got, if you're playing. So that way you're just playing more what you feel in the moment rather than the scale shape that you learned last week. It just puts you in the moment.
Right. Bruce, anything quick from you? Did you ever have a chance to learn from Keith Wyatt at all at GIT?
Yes, I did. It goes back to 86 MI, the original MI, and I think the thing I brought back from that would be from Keith was be a great person and play rock.
Short and simple, and that works for me because we're out of time. Students out there, or viewers out there, anybody who didn't get your question answered, we'll review them. We'll do our best to get some answers from these guys to you guys, maybe in an email or something. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you to our guests, Bruce, Paul, Ryan, Kyle. You guys have been great. Thank you to our viewers. ROCK20, ROCK20, 20% off any ArtistWorks school for a 1-year membership. Thank you guys. This was a true blast and a pleasure for me. I learned a lot. We will see you guys next month for the next ArtistWorks Google Hangout. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Rock and roll. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah.